Hey everybody, welcome to our How to Use YinYang Indicators series. Today we'll be discussing YinYang RSI and how you can benefit from our different form of RSI that features a calculation that you'll see in the YinYang A, which is for true value zones. Our true value zones are basically a way of calculating where something legitimately belongs. So if you haven't seen how it works on price within YinYang A yet, we suggest you do so. But if regardless, let's talk about how it works with an RSI. So this is what the YinYang RSI looks like. And just in retrospect to what the regular RSI looks like, it looks like this. So as you can see, it's a lot more jaggedy. It's a lot harder to read. You know, there's just so much movement going on in it, and it's considered a very bullish thing when the RSI crosses over the RSI's moving average, which is this yellow line, and a very bearish thing when it crosses back under it. Now that is hard to tell sometimes on the regular RSI because it can happen so frequently, like in here. Like, look how much movement there is going on, just back and forth nonstop. If you were to place a trade every time it was to cross over or under, you're going to have so many false trades, you will lose a lot of money. So it's best to have something that is a lot more accurate than this. And don't get me wrong, I do love the RSI, I just don't like how it has so much inaccuracies in it. So the main reason why ours looks a lot more smooth and doesn't move as often is our true value range algorithm. It calculates it quite differently, and it doesn't get affected by mere consolidation. It takes a lot more price action, volume, and movement, especially quick movement will set it off for sure compared to slow movement. Whereas the regular RSI, it actually goes down during consolidation. So as things consolidate, it goes down, as you can even see right here. This is just basically consolidation from here to here, but yet from here to here, like the RSI, if you watch down by the regular RSI, all through the consolidation, it ended at about 60, but started at 86. Whereas ours started at about 95 and ended at 98. It even went up. So it does work a lot differently. There is one downside to ours, and it's usually about 1 bar to 2 bars behind in terms of when the RSI does cross the moving average. This is normal. This is how it's supposed to work. It's just if that because it's meant to be used in conjunction with other indicators that we provide, and not just as a sole thing to place trades on. If you were, I mean, it would still work really well, but that's not its purpose. Like if, for instance, you were to place a long every time it crossed above and then either cancel or short it every time it went under, it would still do pretty well, but we do not recommend doing that. So it's pretty smooth if you zoom out like this. So let's just close the regular RSI a little bit there so it's easier to see. Alright, as you can tell, it doesn't get near as much movement as the regular RSI, and that's good. You know, you don't want it to do that. It's going to have its drastic downs and drastics up, and the odd time it's going to be in between, but it just generally doesn't need to move as often as the regular RSI would. And you can tell, like, when it does move, there's good reason for it to move. Like if you just watch as the line that I'm moving goes up and down on, like, down here in the RSI as it moves and up here in the price, you can tell it all makes sense. Like, it basically says by here, right there. That's right there it says buy. As you can see down below, the numbers here will show you when it's crossed, and then it says to basically sell right there. So if you were to place trades on that, you would have made a pretty good amount of money. And even vice versa. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say to go back in on and buy again here. It's generally best to do the buys or use it as a buying opportunity when it's below 30 and then it crosses over, and vice versa for a selling opportunity when it's above, below 20. For ours, we use the stochastic 20 to 80, not RSI 30 to 70. And then when it's above 80 and it crosses back down. Those are the major things you are looking for. So our RSI features a few things you can modify within it. So you have the RSI type. So you can switch it. So you can view a regular RSI. And as you can see, it's the exact same. So you can use it to view regular, and you might be wondering, well, why would I want to do the regular? Well, it's because we also still have all this data about all three different types if you choose to want to view that. So maybe you do want to only look at the regular RSI, but you want the data of our RSI, the regular RSI, and this stochastic RSI is our own version of the stochastic, which uses the calculations from the YinYang RSI into the stochastic RSI formula. So it does look a little bit different, and we will go over that right now. So, yeah, I know, it looks a little wonky. So the reason for this is it basically swings with extremities. And it's almost always going to be basically 0 or 100. There is times where it's less as it's building its way there, because it doesn't just go there in one bar. But when it does feel the movement, it feels the movement pretty well. But it does work really well. So in the sense of, like, if you look here, it's basically saying right here is a great time to buy, and it was. And then vice versa, it's saying right here is a great time to sell, and, well, it was too. And so on and so forth. Like, this one did go up a little bit. Like, it read this coming up here, but it didn't have the right momentum, so it dropped right back down again. So it looks a little wonky, especially as you zoom out, but it does work quite well. So it does its intended purpose, and that's why we have it in here, just because it's a little bit of more piece of information that you can use. And I wouldn't always say you need to view it, for instance, but just having its values displayed below here is quite useful. And yeah, you can't see when it's like that, but you actually do have 6 different boxes here that display all of it with different, you can select which resolutions you want here. So you didn't want the 1 week and you wanted, like, I don't know, the 45 minutes. You can just change that over, and whatever column you change it to, it will swap over to that for that. So you can display them vertically like this, where it's 3 and 3, or you can do horizontally. The nice thing about horizontally is that you can see all the data like this. The only downside is that you kind of have to push it over to the side here, otherwise it somewhat overlays on top of some information, which isn't that bad because it's see-through, but it can still be a little distracting. So I generally only have it on the 3 with vertical, but if you want, and I just widen it up when I do really need to look at the RSI, like in pinpoint details. But yeah, you can do that. You can turn off, or you can turn it to display which one you want. So say you only wanted to see the Yin Yang RSI data for all the different time frames, you could do this, and then now you can see all of it, even in the vertical. Or if you just wanted Yin Yang and regular, and you don't want to see our version of the stochastic, you can do that too. You can modify it however you want. You can even overlay multiple different indicators on each other here. I wouldn't recommend doing more than two, although we do give you the option to do more than two. So this is ours with the regular. It can be a little confusing. We will likely change the color if there is an overlay between the two, so it's not both yellow and purple, but we just haven't set that up for it yet. So, for instance, like if you have the yin yang and the stochastic up here, you can see it like that. So yeah, it's play around with it however you feel like doing it. By default, it comes like this. And so these time frames, yeah, so it shows you the RSI. The RSI is moving average. And then if it's red, that means the RSI is lower than the moving average. And when it's above, it means it's above it. So the colors are just to give you a really quick visual, so you don't always have to be reading all the numbers, which can be a little bit tedious. And sometimes just knowing if it's above or below is good. And that's all you need to know sometimes. So that mostly covers what we need to go over for our YinYang RSI. So it's basically, let's just sum it up. It's an RSI that moves less often because consolidation doesn't affect it as much. It's a lot easier to read because it's not as squiggly. It's not all over the place. It's a lot more accurate when it does cross over. There's a lot less false positive RSI to moving average crosses. I wouldn't use it to place trades only by itself. You should use it in conjunction with our other indicators or whatever other indicators you deem best fits your trading style. And yes, it's also 1 to 2 candles behind the regular RSI when it comes to its crossing, in the sense of because consolidation doesn't affect it as much. It moves a teeny bit slower, but when it does move, it's more accurate. So, it's a double-edged sword a little bit, and that's why sometimes maybe using it in conjunction with the regular RSI, maybe that's how you like to trade, maybe that suits your preferences the best. But we do recommend using it with other stuff, not just by itself. Okay, so we're going to conclude there. If you wish to purchase our indicators, a link to our website is in the description below, along with a coupon you can use at checkout for 5% off. Also, if you haven't already, join our Discord, as affiliates advertise their affiliate codes in there, which will give you another 5% off your purchase link. There is a ton of content and material on our Discord that cover things ranging from price predictions, news, including geopolitical news that may impact the crypto and stock market, and a bunch of other useful tactics for trading and how to use our indicators. And always you can ask questions on there too. And if you have any questions, please, ask us in our Discord, submit us a support ticket on our website, or simply comment on our YouTube videos. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and happy trading.